At midnight I found my mom's neighbor stranded. What she whispered changed my life forever. Midnight has a way of stripping the world bare, and that night it felt like the universe had paused just for me to notice what I'd been avoiding. The power was out, the streetlights were dead, and the silence pressed in so tightly I could hear my own heartbeat. That was when I saw her, my mom's quiet neighbor, standing alone at the edge of the road with her car stalled, shadows swallowing her whole. I didn't know it yet, but the next few hours would unravel everything I believed about regret, forgiveness, and the kind of courage that only shows up when you're least prepared. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that small choices can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that might be waiting in the dark. I had just returned from a long shift, the kind that leaves your body moving on autopilot while your mind replays every mistake you've ever made. I was living with my mom again after my life had quietly collapsed, a failed relationship behind me, debts piling up, and a constant sense that I had disappointed everyone who ever believed in me. Our neighborhood was the same one I grew up in, modest houses, narrow roads, and neighbors who knew each other's routines better than their own. Her neighbor, the woman by the road, had always been a mystery. Polite nods, closed curtains, no visitors. The kind of person you assume is fine because they never ask for help. Seeing her stranded made me hesitate. I was exhausted, emotionally empty, and honestly afraid of being needed when I had so little to give. But something about the way she stood there, arms wrapped around herself, staring into nothing, pushed me forward. I walked up, offered what help I could, and realized quickly that the problem wasn't just a dead engine. The phone in her hand was cracked, useless. The night was colder than it looked, and fear hung around her like fog. We tried to fix the car with what little light we had, my phone flashlight trembling as much as my hands. It became clear we weren't going anywhere soon. The road felt miles away from everything safe, even though home was only a few houses down. That was when the real struggle began, not with the car, but with the weight she was carrying. She looked strong in daylight, composed, but in that darkness, something inside her cracked open. Her breathing became uneven, her shoulders sagged, and she leaned against the car as if it were the only thing keeping her upright. I guided her to sit, offering my jacket, feeling strangely responsible for this stranger I'd known for years without knowing at all. Minutes stretched. The silence grew heavy. Then, in a voice so soft it barely existed, she leaned closer and whispered something that cut straight through me. She told me she had once made a choice that cost her everything. A single decision, born from fear and pride, had pushed away the person she loved most. She had spent every night since replaying that moment, wondering how life might have turned out if she had been braver. She didn't give details, but she didn't need to. Her pain sounded exactly like my own, like the echo of my failed relationship, the words I never said, the apologies I postponed until it was too late. She told me that tonight, standing alone in the dark, she realized how fragile everything really is. That life doesn't wait for us to be ready. That regret is patient, but time is not. Hearing this from someone older, someone who had lived with that weight for years, felt like a warning written just for me. As we waited for help, the world felt different. The street, the silence, even my own thoughts slowed down. I started to see my life not as a series of failures, but as unfinished sentences. I had been hiding, telling myself it was safer not to try again, safer not to hope. But here was a woman who had survived decades of what-ifs, still standing, still breathing, still brave enough to admit her pain to a near stranger. If she could face it, what excuse did I have? Eventually, help arrived. The car was towed, the crisis passed, and the night loosened its grip. As we walked back toward our homes, the power flickered back on, streetlights glowing like quiet witnesses. She thanked me, her eyes tired but lighter somehow, as if saying those words had released something she'd been holding for years. I watched her disappear into her house, realizing that I had been given a gift disguised as inconvenience. In the days that followed, I couldn't shake what she had whispered. It replayed in my mind while I worked, while I lay awake at night, while I avoided the calls I knew I should answer. Slowly, painfully, I began to change. I reached out to people I had shut out. I apologized without defending myself. I allowed myself to hope, even when it scared me. Not everything was fixed overnight, but something fundamental shifted. I stopped waiting for the perfect moment to be honest, to be kind, to be brave. Weeks later, I saw her again, this time in daylight, tending to her small garden. She smiled in a way she never had before, and I realized that night had changed her too. Maybe sharing her story had loosened regret's hold on her heart. Maybe saving her from being stranded had also saved something in me that was quietly dying. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of a moment you've been putting off or a person you've been meaning to forgive, please take a second to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement helps keep these stories alive and reaching others who might need them. And before this story ends, I have a special request. Please comment below and tell us about a moment when a stranger, a late night, or a small act of kindness changed your perspective on life. That midnight taught me that life doesn't always speak loudly. Sometimes it whispers, in the dark, through someone else's pain, giving you one more chance to choose differently. And if you listen closely enough, it can change your life forever.